All right, so today we're going deep on some pretty powerful lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Jones' 1967 vinyl performance of I'll Never Fall in Love Again.
Nice.
And this was unearthed by Thrifting in the Prates on YouTube.
That's sick.
Yeah, and we're on a mission here to really kind of unpack the emotional core of these lyrics.
Absolutely.
You were drawn to the intensity and the finality of that title, I'll Never Fall in Love Again.
Right.
So let's get into what makes that declaration so powerful.
Yeah, let's dig into that journey, because there is a journey there in the lyrics that lead to that kind of resolute statement. And by looking closely, we can really understand the emotional landscape he's traversing.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so first things first.
Okay.
He opens with, I've been in love so many times, thought I knew the score, but now you've treated me so wrong, I can't take anymore. What strikes you about that opening?
Well, I mean, beyond just the disappointment, the knew the score to me suggests this this kind of almost expectation
Right.
that he had going into this, but how love should work, and how that shattering contributes to this kind of intense reaction.
Yeah, it's so interesting, that juxtaposition of I've been in love so many times, like I should have this figured out.
Right.
But then he's like completely blindsided.
Totally. And to be treated so wrong to the point of I can't take anymore,
Yeah.
that signifies a total breaking point,
Yeah.
a level of pain that has completely altered his perspective on things.
Yeah. Do you think that intensity, do you think that points to a pattern of maybe unhealthy relationships? Or could it be a one-off, like a singular event that was just so devastating?
That is such a great question. And I think it could honestly swing either way.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell from just these couple of lines.
Totally.
But it definitely sets the stage.
For sure. For sure. Okay, so then we hit the chorus,
Hit me.
and it looks like I'm never going to fall in love again.
Okay.
And then he repeats that over and over and over.
That repetition, right.
What effect does that repetition have? And what are the different interpretations you think we could get from that?
Well, I think the repetition acts as this really powerful reinforcement, almost like a self-affirmation. But it's interesting because if you listen to the way he sings it, he adds these O's and these ins,
Okay.
and it injects this vulnerability, this raw emotion
Yeah.
that kind of undercuts the starkness of the declaration a little bit.
Right?
So it makes you wonder, is he really stating a fact here, or is this a desperate attempt to protect himself
Right.
from future hurt?
Totally. And then he hits us with, I mean it.
Oh, yeah, he does.
And it's like, okay, this is not just like
This is not a flippant remark?
Yeah.
No, he is serious.
All right, so second stanza, we get a little bit of a shift in focus.
Okay.
I give my heart so easily, I cast aside my pride. But when you sold for someone else, baby, I broke up all inside. So this is starting to reveal a little bit of the vulnerability that maybe led to this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you see here?
Well, I think we see a pattern of open-heartedness, this real willingness to be vulnerable in the past.
Yeah.
That I give my heart so easily, cast aside my pride, that suggests a very trusting nature.
Totally.
And so because of that past openness, the pain from this experience is even more amplified.
Oh, for sure.
And then the way he describes it, broke up all inside.
Ooh, yeah.
That is so visceral.
Yeah.
It speaks to this complete internal shattering, not just sadness, but
Yeah, it's like disintegration.
he's a disintegration of the self,
Yeah.
and it really, I think, points to why he's putting up these walls.
Yeah. His willingness to love has become this, source of huge pain.
Exactly.
Okay, so then we get to the concluding chorus,
Lay it on me.
and it looks like I'm never going to fall in love again. That's why I'm singing. No, never going to fall in love. Please don't make me fall in love again. So much there. And particularly that last line, that please don't make me fall.
Right.
How does that change the entire meaning of the declaration?
Well, I think what's fascinating there is that that's the first chink in the armor.
Right.
The repetition of never gonna fall in love is still there.
Yeah.
That please don't make me fall in love. Oh, again, introduces this element of fear.
Yeah.
And maybe even a subconscious yearning,
Yeah.
So it suggests that despite the firm resolve, the possibility, and perhaps even the fear of love is still lingering under the surface.
Yeah, so it kind of throws that whole, I'm never going to fall in love again into question.
It does. It makes it so much more complex.
Yeah, okay, so let's zoom out for a second and recap this journey.
Okay.
We see him go from this, open-hearted, vulnerable guy to this, seemingly closed off, never gonna love again guy. All because of this deep pain.
Exactly. It's a profound shift from one end of the spectrum to the other. And, as we were just discussing those nuances, particularly that last plea hint that maybe it's not as black and white as it seems on the surface.
Yeah, totally. The lyrics capture those, like, complex and contradictory emotions that go along with heartbreak
Right.
and just the fear of future pain.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to our final thought for you.
Okay.
Think about the power of these absolute statements, these big pronouncements that come from intense emotional experiences.
Hmm.
Have you encountered these kinds of declarations in music, in art, in your own life?
Oh, yeah.
And what do you think is really underneath these vows that seem so unbreakable on the surface?
That's something to think about for sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.